Welcome back to What's the Matter Coaching. My name is Oscar, and I hope you're ready to find out what's the matter with you, what's the matter with our world, and what's the matter really. Okay, what is matter really? So today's video is regarding non-duality. For those of you on your path of consciousness, of aligning yourself with the supreme, absolute truth of who we are, to find your way back home to your divine self, your divine purpose. Today's video is how to become non-duality. How to become non-dual. Coming back home to source, pure awareness, absolute consciousness, which equals this state of enlightenment, which equals you free from suffering and understanding why you're here and who you are in this reality. So I want to start off by saying how to become non-duality. But before we talk about how to become non-dual, it helps us understand what's duality. Okay? So duality. Duality is the separation of two forces, things of a dual nature, left and right and wrong. So as you can see, humanity and the human level of consciousness resembles very heavily right and wrong, left and right, and dualistic nature of behavior. When we go out into reality, people think that they're better than the other person because they think they're separate and they think that someone else is the left while they're the right. That could be further from the truth. And that is actually a childish level of consciousness. This video is to assist you in rising from any dualistic nature and dualistic level of your own consciousness. And you'll start to see how towards the end of this video, it is very childish and immature to view your reality from the eyes and lens of duality. Because in fact, the world that you live in, what's the matter with our world, is that you've been taught to believe that things are of a dualistic nature, that there's actually a right and a wrong, that there's actually your likes and dislikes, and we have preferences, we have beliefs, we have bias, because everyone thinks that they're separate, because people decide to identify with a separate opposition within their consciousness instead of finding the balance and finding the union within their peers. A word for that is called compromise. When two people compromise, they allow themselves to find the melting point in whatever they were discussing or approaching together. When you find compromise, you're finding the best solution to what was before not being understood or dual. So a lot of us are coming from a dualistic consciousness, and we're shifting into a level of consciousness that is constantly seeking union, seeking compromise, seeking unity. What do people both want to do when they have a conversation? Well, move forward in the conversation, to talk, to express, but to be aligned with a fundamental truth. Maybe you'll see this by now, but the human consciousness is missing a link. It's missing the fundamental truth of who we are. That's why we're making this video. How to become non-duality and come back home. Because a lot of us, a lot of humanity is not one with their home right now. What's your home? Your divinity. What's your home? Soul, source, pure awareness. This is your home. Why is it your home? Because when you're at home, you want to feel that peace, right? When you're home, it's that place of peace, of no more suffering, where you can be yourself. A lot of human beings are not being themselves because they are unable to understand who they are in this reality. That no longer has to be the case. You're here now to find out what's the matter with you. It just happens to be that what's the matter with you is what's the matter with the world. And in fact, it all comes down to what is matter really. That what you call matter is actually you through another subatomic expression and energy vibrating at a certain speed. Just check your latest science. And so people think that they're apart from their material reality, matter. You're not apart from the matter. In fact, your consciousness, whatever's going inside in your internal world, is affecting your external world by the nature of physics. All those thoughts and those emotions that you send out are affecting your material, physical reality, which we call matter. And so a lot of us are not ready to live from this place of non-duality. Why? Because that means we have to let go of all our likes, our dislikes, what we think is right and what we think is wrong. I like blue and you like green. All that goes bye-bye. Because we begin to embrace a mature level of consciousness. A consciousness that accepts everything. Because we're not seeing things as right or wrong. We embrace it all because everything, if it's non-dual, it just is the one thing. Okay? Unification, non-duality, merging the opposites. That's non-duality. When you merge the opposites, you unify. When you unify two C's and you put them together, you create oneness. You create a circle. This circle is eternity. Eternity is infinity. Okay? So as you can see here, just by the simple symbol of my hands, you can see how by uniting all the information, all the perceptions of the human being, and finding that whole perspective in the name of love, for example, then we can always move forward and we can be ourselves in this lifetime. How do you become non-dual? How can you start your path into enlightenment? Because enlightenment is you discovering the truth of who you are. And you're one with reality. You're the creator of your reality. And you have the ability with your consciousness, what's going on inside, to go ahead and become one with all the answers, all the information that you seek in this lifetime. So how do we become non-duality? Now that we understand what duality is, how we start going into non-duality, now let's talk about the actual practice. What practice allows us to become non-duality? So if non-duality is the ability to see things as one, as whole, everything just exists as whole, here and now, it means to see things from a place that's not so identified with the left or with the right. This is your divine place. This is stillness. The way we find and we start to recognize and embody this oneness, this fifth dimensional level of consciousness, is by you shifting from your duality consciousness, which is 3D, to understand all that bias, all the reasons that there's no right and wrong, so you can approach your way into 5D. The quickest way to find your way into 5D is by letting go of everything that is lower. Every lower dimensional aspect of yourself, let go of it. By letting go of your lower nature, your lower habits, anything that does not serve you, you're making space for what does serve you. I'm talking about the practice of the I am. the practice of pure awareness. The practice of pure awareness is literally you coming back to the awareness that you were first born with. By coming back to this awareness that you were born with, you start to then purify the construct, which is your personality. Your personality is the one filled with identifications, with bias, and with what they think they know or what they don't know. If you knew who you are, you would bring forth divinity and who you are into this lifetime. You came here created purely as a baby, as a newborn, and then we lost ourselves in this process of the journey we call life. You see, because we're here to find ourselves again, like a fun experience. We come here, we're born, we forget who we are, and then we get to discover and remember that we've been here the whole time. But we had to learn that we were not separate. We were not duality. That duality never existed. And that you're actually spirit, pure awareness, pure consciousness, expressing itself in a unique body. This bag of flesh and bones that we see every day. For those of you who can see. Okay? So, essentially, becoming non-duality is the letting go of all things that are dualistic. So all your identifications, what you think is right, what you think is wrong, let go of that and center and focus in the present moment now. The easiest way to do this is just by focusing on one thing, one object that's not moving. And don't blink. Stare at a dot. Stare at a candle. Look at the sun when it's going in sundown. It's called sun gazing. And it helps open up your psychic perception and to cleanse your pineal gland, the gland that's here where your third eye is supposed to be. These are practices for you to center in the now, to center in pure awareness. By staying still. And I want you to remember these three things. Focus on one thing. Don't blink. Surrender all your perceptions, all your identities, all your emotional attachments, and love. Center in your heart. Focus, center in your heart, and let go. Let go of everything that's getting in the way of you being nothing. Non-duality. Become the space. Become the room. Allow yourself to melt into this space that's pure awareness. You might not be able to hold that space, that focus for too long. That's okay because it's cultivated. Just like you created yourself to be a person, since the day you were born, you created yourself to be a person psychologically, right? With your brain and all that stuff. Just so you can create a person of a low consciousness that forgets and that's based upon habits, you can do the same thing now. And you can learn to create and bring your soul, your pure awareness, your pure consciousness, your divine self online. And the way that you do that is by creating a new self. That's not based on habits, but that's based on divinity. That's based on pure consciousness, pure energy. And the way you create it is by going back. Going back into the space of non-duality. And it's funny because remember, non-dual means everything unified. What is everything unified? A circle, whole. By becoming non-dual, you become whole with everything. Enlightenment 101. By becoming nothing, by becoming non-dualistic, you become one. You become whole. What are you one with? Like we said, the latest science says, you're one with the fabric of reality, creation. For those who have heard the religious texts, you are one with God. What is God? Creation. Who are you? creation created. Everything is unified. By walking this path, you're learning that you're not separate from reality and that you can actually go ahead and live your best life ever. It's just a matter of how fast you want to get there and how much your ego and your personality, your identifications, and your dualistic nature is getting in your way. Time to dismantle this. Time to find your true self. Time to evolve. Welcome to What's the Matter Coaching. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.